Good day, everyone. It's an extreme pleasure to always take time and meet with you and talk about your issues and see if we can all work everybody out and get their health back for them and have a good time. Whatever happens in the future on this rock, who knows, but it sure is a pleasure. I'm going to try to make these videos shorter because I notice the longer ones are just harder for you to view, but that just was a situation. I had to bang them out and no one around and had the time to do it. So I appreciate that. I hope you're all doing well. Long road sometimes, but really one needs to make it a way of life. Not so much fasting and way up in there, but integrate that in your lifestyle, where you spend a few days every once in a while just eating fruit, or a few days, maybe a day water fasting, or a 3-day grape fast, or whatever. Especially after you've achieved the goals that you have, balance yourself out a little bit if you like. But I always recommend push it, because you really want to get your lymph really cleaned up as much as you can. You really want to use your eyes as a gauge and watch those eyes change as you reconfigure the human body. It's amazing what you can do. And so I don't think we even know a fraction of what can be accomplished, Arnold Ehret saw a lot of that in his day. Only those, I tell you what I've witnessed just myself, in those that were fruitarian thinkers that were involved in helping others get well. That's where you found the most success, and the most difficult cases where success was always at hand. Spent a lot of years with the natural hygienic people. Definitely good successes there, obviously, but not to the level of Ehret and some of those that are really into the fruitarian level. Now that I've added the herbal side to the fruitarian thinking as a form of tools that we use to help us to regenerate and maybe aggressively or clean deeper, we've got the best plan, I think, out there in terms of being able to go from where you are in the now to where you want to take your human body and where you want to clean up your emotions and your mind. And so this is a good level to do that with. Real strong and strict, but developing some self-discipline is always a good factor for yourself. Self-discipline is always a good thing to have. There's an old saying that if you're not raised with discipline, you never have self-discipline. And I kind of thought about that through the years. It's probably true. But we each have to develop our own ability to control our minds, our emotions. No one's going to do that for us, although plenty of people try to control your mind, no question, and your emotions. But you don't want others to control you. You want to be the individual and the beautiful soul that you are. And so you just want to enjoy yourself and enjoy the friends that you decide to spend time with here, because everything is transient. Everything is here today and gone tomorrow, so to speak. But that's creation. And you as the living presence, you're always present. You never die. You never, change in that way. Only creation changes. All right, so I want to get and talk about some of these cases here. I'm always behind, of course, but I just love communicating and dealing with these cases because there's so many cases out there. This is a healthcare provider for a woman who is only 25 and has lived with an anoxic brain injury since the age of 6 years old. Incredible, 19 years. I have been talking with her mother/guardian about nutrition and the body's ability to heal and improve if we transition her from the current feeding tube formula. I have previously taken your 2-week detox and was really affected by it. Thank you. She currently receives Nestle's FiberSoure HN tube feeding formula. 1.2 unflavored, 250 mils, 300 calories. All I've got to say here is when you have a neurological issue, whether it's an injury or you've weakened your nervous system through breaking down the adrenals, or you've ingested neurotoxins of a level that has suppressed your function of the nervous system, etc., etc., etc. The lymph system has broken your nervous system down. To get back neurological function. I just did the video on ALS for you. To get back neurological function, it is a fruit and berry and a melon experience, particularly fruit and berries. And if you have a Nestle's formula, no offense to Nestle or anyone else, I've talked with the Nestle people in Switzerland before, they're concerned about nutrition and stuff, but to be honest with you, there's not a manufacturer out there that can make a living food formula for people with neurological injuries that is going to help them. None of these formulas are worth a crap. You have to have living food, living vibrational energetics with chemistry that is put together as God did that. You cannot go out and use anything man makes. It's just not going to work. It doesn't work. And most of these formulas are ridiculously built. They're not built as carbon-based formulas. They're built as protein or nitrogen-based formulas. High fat, high nitrogen. And that rule number one is those are the minor side of life. Carbon sits in the middle as the king. That is the fuel side. That and oxygen is always the fuel side of life. So these formulas are way out of balance chemically and causes nothing but mucus to develop in people. So being on a formula for 19 years is scary to me in terms of what it has done to this individual's lymphatic system. There's a huge difference between a formula and a bowl of fruit in terms of energetics, ability to clean and heal and regenerate the human body. It's just sickening that people go on these insures, pedisures, and this crap like this. And these people, I don't care what you do, you don't make a milky chocolate drink that is like a bowl of fruit. You're brainwashing the public and thinking that you are. We currently receive Nestle, and we are looking into different options or suggestions. We will also be seeking the advice of the nutritionist at the hospital. Well, good luck. Not a place to receive advice at. No offense. But there is not a nutritionist that I'm aware of in hospitals that have an understanding of raw foods and regeneration of the human body. These people are American dietetics bred and born, and they have no clue about health. So talking to a nutritionist is not got what you want to do on a 25-year-old that's had a brain injury since 6 years old. You want to start thinking you just want to keep this soul alive and just half-ass this life of this soul. That's not my thinking. My thinking is we get in and we rebuild this person. This person has suffered long enough. This soul is trapped in that body. So what let's do, let's get your feeding tubes in, but you juice. You juice fresh grape juice, fresh apple juice. You can do some greens if you want, but you really want the fresh grape juices. Blueberries. You can mix all kinds of juices together, just like a smoothie, and insert it right up the feeding tube. Get away from all this crap. And you want to get her on an herbal program that starts to help to clean and aggressively rebuild brain tissue. So you want to treat her just like you would anybody else that you're going to detox and regenerate, because the bottom line is we're after regeneration. Detoxification is just the process to get there. So this individual really needs help. And the way they're going here is there's no way this person's going to end up with anything but a bad life for all these years, and that can't be good whatsoever. You haven't given me any idea of the state this person is in, but it's enough to tell you that you want to stop these formulas and be me, and I would be, because this is what we do every day. We have hundreds of people on feeding tubes, and we just feed them right up the tube, and you can regenerate people big time using feeding tubes. So don't get too shy about feeding tubes. And you don't want to put milky, crappy, high-protein, high-fat stuff in there. You want to regenerate. Now, this person's going to go through detox and everything else. No matter what, this body's going to go through this. But this person, you want to get hooked maybe with Marcy or myself and get this person back to some semblance of life again. You know, just because you have an injury doesn't mean you have to live with it, but a neurological energy is a beast of another color. Now we're talking exclusively fruits and berries, essential. And then you can maybe win back the day here. You know, you're going after kidneys, you're going to use brain and nerve, upper circulation. You're going to start moving oxygen better up in her. I'd have her into hyperbaric chambers. There's a million different neat things you can do to someone that's down and to help them regenerate. A million feel good, feel better, quicker things, you know. Here's one, Christian. Some have died from liver failure from valerian root, should be avoided if have weak liver. St. John's wort can cause problems with sun exposure if taken too much. Well, this is true about St. John's wort. It's also a little true about marijuana and some other plants like that. However, I've never heard of anybody dying from valerian root ever. And I try to stay up with the deaths from CDC centers and stuff, and I don't even see how you could prove that valerian root. You would have to get more of a stronger alkaloid plant, more like a poke root or blood root. And even then, you would have to consume large amounts of it for it to kill you. You know, the blood root and the poke root, which is in the lymphatic formulas, these are the cancer herbs. This is why you see us use small amounts. Remember the one YouTuber that did too much poke root and he really kicked his butt. So, but dying from valerian root, I've never heard of that. And it would be a hard thing to prove. There's a lot of crap out there, though, about herbs. You remember that it was Dr. Christopher and the... which is the one that got such a bad rap, and it was such a bad herb, and so many people wrote books about it, and lobelia. And no one's ever died from lobelia. I used to use lobelia as Jensen did to make people throw up. In low dosages, it's an antispasmodic. Higher dosages, it's an emetic and makes you throw up. And so, but when you're a COPD case and you're full of congestion and you're trying to get them clean and breathing, sometimes you've got to get them to throw up to breathe, to compress the lungs and get all this mucus out. So it's an old technique I use with like Dr. Christopher did. But I can just say, Christian, I've never heard of liver failure, and I know a lot of kids on a lot of valerian root and never seen any liver enzyme elevation or anything else. But I don't think the alkaloids are strong in valerian root. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. And I've never seen anybody die from our favorite comfrey, knitbone, or licorice. You know, it's just this kind of, it's got these certain alkaloids in them and that there can be dangerous. And it's like, you know what? Don't bring your pharmaceutical consciousnesses. This is why I don't like the PDR on herbs, because it's trying to bring the pharmaceutical consciousness to herbology, and you can't do that. That's because most of these herbs are synergistic. But with that said, I'll say this. This is why I like formulas over individual herbs. Because formulas, you have small amounts of each herb in there. And I don't like more than 4 or 5 herbs in a formula, although some formulas get more, no question about it. And so you're only about 10-15% of any herb at any one time. Maybe some of them have 20% of a certain herb. But synergistically working, I feel that herbs work better in formulas than individuals. So, but it's possible someone just sucked down in herbs too much and too much and too much. But valerian, I think, could put you to sleep before it'd kill you. But then again, you know, I'd like to see the stats on that from a CDC center to prove that that's the case, because this kind of information that gets out there sometimes is just propaganda that's born out of someone else that said it, born out of someone else that said it, and none of it's true whatsoever. So I think we have to be careful about labeling the herbs as being dangerous, because the FDA's tried to do that, and they have no evidence of that whatsoever. I've watched a lot of blood work through my life, and I've had a lot of people on huge amounts of poke root, bloodroot, valerian, all kinds of herbs, and I have watched their blood work for years. The only time I see elevated liver enzymes is when you have a weak liver and you are taking too much poke root or bloodroot. But if you have, Christian, any evidence to that, please bring it and I'll take a look at that. But as a rule, we don't see anything like that. In watching Dr. Morse's newest video on ALS, and about an hour into it, he says you can get rid of viruses. Are you saying it is possible to get rid of viruses that modern medicines say are impossible to cure, like herpes, for example, that some claim 25% of the Western population have? Well, the problem with the AMA is they don't understand detoxification. Sad stuff, simple philosophy, simple understanding, and of course is what nature uses. Been used by man for thousands and thousands of years. It's just the allopathic community is above such lower types of thinking. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like that. Because if you don't understand how you get rid of things out of the body, there's only one word that you use. There's only one word that says, how do you clean the internal terrain of the human body? Because if you sit there and live with that you have toxins in the body and virals, which are proteins in the body, and bacterium, which is our friends, but we have too many of them maybe, and maybe too much fungus, which you're always going to have some. How do you get rid of them? How do you kill a protein? You can't. You have to detox it out of your body. Your body detoxes itself, too. Your body doesn't want this stuff in it. You know, you can train the body to get used to it. That's one of the reasons why I didn't like homeopathic medicine, is getting the body used to having toxins in the body and living with that. I like detoxification because that gets rid of it. Virals are easy to detoxify out of the body, and yes, herpes. But herpes isn't the bad one, HIV. You know, so HIV, we get rid of HIV, we get rid of hep C. Viral loads are easy to detoxify. I'll say easy, but you've got to detoxify. You've got to get your kidneys filtering. You've got to learn what detoxification is, as we set forth here, and learn how to get this out. But absolutely, I've never had a case you couldn't clean up. I'll say this, we've had some tough cases of herpes because their lymph. We had a girl in here, her lymph system was so bad. She made a dairy farmer look like a clean angel. And her boyfriend or something, you know, gave her some herpes or something. And she was having a hard time getting rid of it because she couldn't get her lymph cleaned fast enough. Her lymph is so bad, she'll be a couple of years easy getting her lymph cleaned up. Easy, a couple of years. But tons of people have gotten rid of herpes, HIV, all of that. And if you live with the concept that the AMA is the only people that can help anybody, then you've screwed yourself, because they're the worst of the whole modality of everyone. They don't cure nothing. They use toxic chemicals, and half the chemicals kill people. And it's like it's an out of control modality that has brainwashed the average person to think that these people are the only people that have any brains. They don't have any brains. And that's the problem. No offense to medical doctors listening to this, but after a while it gets a little ridiculous when you can't cure something as simple as herpes or HIV or hep C. You got to add detoxification. Hospitals need to understand what that is and change the way they think. Because the treatment of conditions never yields a cure. You notice that? The treatment of conditions, the treatment of diseases, the treatment of symptomology never gets rid of the problem because you're not causative thinking. And so you have to become causative thinking. Things like heavy metals and toxins and chemistry and stuff can always be detoxified out of the body. Proteins and things like viruses, you can get rid of bacteria, although you don't want to. I mean, you can get rid of overgrowth. The body always does that. But absolutely can, my friend. And so who is this? I don't see a name on here, but absolutely. I mean, we're in serious trouble. If you guys haven't noticed, the human is in serious trouble. The human consciousness. It's not wanting to grow outside of its enclosure. And it's time, because it's too historically, I mean, that's creation. There's no question about it. but there is time for some expansion at this level, and it's needed. It's why you're all here. It's why I'm doing this, and why you're all helping, is we need some expansion in consciousness. This is and so we have to open up the reality that the AMA is the dog on the field. This is the problem with our healthcare is the AMA. It needs a total restructuring and understanding of its limitations and the things that it can and can't do. Right now, it's gotten so narcissistic that no one else can do anything out there but the AMA, and that, or the medical profession worldwide. And if you notice that even China is kicking out the medical people out of their country because they find it ridiculous. So I'm just saying, there's a lot going on out there. And I don't need to belittle the AMA, but when you kill 1 million people in 1 year, there's a problem. And when all your toxic chemicals are hurting people. I hear stories every day of my life. 40-some years, I hear stories every day of what the medical profession has done to people. And it's just, after a while, it gets to you. After a while, it's not fun anymore. It's not funny. After a while, there's some serious stuff going on here that needs to be stopped and corrected. So, there's some serious stuff here. And we have to open up to that. Everything is curable, guys, and don't ever let anybody lock you into a room and think what you have is uncurable, because that would be doing yourself some major injustice, guys. Everything is curable. I know a lot of you suffer, and some of you young guys, my God, you've suffered all your life. I was talking to someone about that before. All the young people are suffering so much, and it's like, what? We've got to turn all this around. So you can imagine the young people in the teens and 20s suffering, what's coming up in the younger ones and the infants. Well, they're already in serious trouble. You just don't hear a lot about them, what's going on in hospitals, doing surgeries on infants, tying their stomachs around their esophagus so they can't throw up. I mean, stuff like this. There's bizarre stuff happening in this world that they're not putting on the news that would make everyone go, what? I mean, just freaky stuff out there. So it's time for some God stuff. It's time for some love. It's time for some truth and some honesty and some wellness and all of that. Don't you think? I think so. Now, let's see who this is. This is Andrew. Hey, Andrew. God bless. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Same to you, man. Thanks so much. I was talking to a lady from Australia yesterday. Fortunately, she had to get up a little early to make a 10 o'clock appointment here. I don't know what time it is over there. I know it's the next day. I know you guys are in the winter time. This question may be silly and obvious, but is laser hair removal very dangerous? You know what? That scares me. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could, with these clays and stuff, you can pull all the hair out, but I don't know. Laser, it just scares me, I don't know. I don't know underlying damage to the tissue of the skin or the hair follicles themselves. I know that you don't want them anyway, but I don't know. I don't want to be one of those old fuddy-duddies, but at the same time, I sure don't want anybody to get hurt. So I don't know. I don't know what long-term use is. It'd be interesting to talk to someone that has a lot of experience in the field of long-term and ask them what long-term damage to cells could be with that. Because anything that takes off something is damaging it, destroying it. And so when you're destroying tissue, it gets a little strange, I don't know. It's scary. I was contemplating 5 to 8 laser hair removal treatments. Your opinion would be greatly appreciated. Andrew, a young 33-year male from Sydney. You know what? I don't know. I just think that anything that destroys tissue, some tissue I guess we don't want, but I don't know, Andrew. I don't know. You can get in, get out, and go on Raw and try to repair, and I don't know what your gig is of trying to get rid of it, but get a woman with tweezers. I don't know, man. I don't know. But thought about that in the past, too, and that's just, everything we do can have a potential to hurt us. You have to be careful because, man's body has been beat up quite a bit from all these chemicals and treatments of pharmaceuticals, and it's, we've got to get ourselves well. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Guys, a member or not, would please address him. Okay, Dr. Morse videos. He says, says berries are good for your cells because they are alkaline forming. But in his book, well, berries are listed as acid forming, but really most berries have an alkaline ash in the final analysis. So I've always said that if it has somewhat of a middle to slightly acidic or a middle to slightly alkaline, that's okay, but it's so powerfully nutritious. I would be curious to see more studies done on the ash of foods after they're broken down and seeing if they leave an alkaline response in the body, like alkaline forming or not. Some of these I'm just going off of old charts because we brought in a whole bunch of charts since we have very little way to test it in terms of the ash. Seeing what that would be. Most things that are purple, though, are very, very alkaline. And you know what? I've never taken a pH paper and tested a blueberry. Might want to do that because some of us, and including myself, I'm guilty of this, feeding off of other people's charts sometimes because we just don't have the ways and means to do research on ourselves. And there's a lot, Marcy and I have been talking a lot. We're trying to get into some cadaver research and stuff. We got a lot of things we're wanting to do that are in research. And so that's a nice thing about Marcy having a younger brain here. And of course, a couple of us here wanting to get into some deeper understanding of things. And of course, all you guys on the Facebook and everything, you guys have got all the brains and everything out there. It's just exciting to me what we can put together and change because Marcy and I are really changing the lymphatic system and how people are seeing it and how it's working. We're finding the old charts in the 1900s. We're finding things that have been excluded for some reason. And we're finding things that make sense. And of course, we want to do some cadaver work and stuff. Anyway, so I can just tell you that blueberries and all the berries are definitely going to be on the health side of life. If they're slightly acidic, okay. I know you ask about plums. I think prunes are a little acidic. Plums, I heard, is a little acidic. But I don't think they're highly acidic. I don't know. What you could do, again, is test your pH in your mouth. Of course, invoking alkaline saliva kind of nullifies kind of some of the chemistry there. So I don't know, let me know about that and what you guys find about the berries and how alkaline or acidic they are, that sort of thing, Nick. I'm not sure. I know that that 3-doctorate professor I talk about sometimes from Canada considers the blueberry one of the most nutritious foods along with the banana. But I don't know. I think of blueberries, blackberries, and grapes, the darker ones, very high flavonoids, the richness of that, which is the vitamin C complexes, stuff like that, rich. So I don't know. I know that they're super good for you. I'm going to put them on the slightly alkaline, slightly acidic. Just depends, I guess, how they're picked, when they're picked. Because if you pick up a tart blueberry, you can tell that's a little acidic. You pick up a ripe blueberry, very alkaline, very sweet. And I wonder if some of these pH factors were born out of unripe fruit. Because that's another thing. You can take an orange picked a little unripe or grown non-organically and pick a navel that's grown organically, and the richness, the sweetness is so different that you don't get this acid twang. And I think that always when you pick a citrus fruit unripe, you feel the acid twang, understanding that ripening is an alkaline stage. It gives you the flavor and the desire to eat it. That's why the flavorfulness of the fruits to propel man to eat it, since he has a palate that likes different flavors. He's more bred to the different flavors of fruits because vegetables have no flavors. And since we have a higher sensory perception, supposedly, then I suppose this is why we are frugivores and why fruits have such great flavors to them, grown properly, picked ripe. So it's possible that a lot of the pH factors we know are not correct because of this. So there's so much of that. But I have to say that just eating them is super good. I've had, I am a massive, matter of fact, me and my grandson had a whole bunch of blueberries this morning. He was over and he pointed at the blueberries and I said, just getting ready to wash them, baby. So I don't know what else to tell you, Nick. I hope we can find better answers to that one. Doctor, my father has gallstones and eats tons of meat, dairy, and bread. Whoops. Well, those are the three no-nos. These are the three huge no-nos. Meat, obviously, but I'm going to lump all protein there. I really am. And protein as a dominant source of the food, like beans, things that are dormant proteins, beans and grains. Dormant enzyme inhibitors are high phytic acids. They're not germinated. They're too complex for the human body, so they're very hard to digest. And of course, the high sulfur content of beans always makes them gassy and everything. So not a really desired experience with them. Makes you feel full, fat, bloaty, gassy. I don't see where anybody would think that's cool. Yes, you can soak them, but is that really what you want to do? Is eat a food that you have to soak the hell out of before you eat it? I don't think so. Pick, break. Good. Oh. Now, getting the gallstones out, the thing is, I don't know what condition his liver is. If he had a blood work lately, the liver enzymes were normal and every alkaline phosphatase was good and everything looked good, then you could do a liver gallbladder flush on him. But to say that, to take a man or a woman and do a liver gallbladder flush with a diet like this, I like to give them a month of raw, a month of at least 80% raw, of salads and a lot of fruits, the liver gallbladder formula. There's an alkaline phosphatase we sell here, not alkaline phosphatase, excuse me, long morning. It's phosphate liquid. And this phosphate is a phosphorus, but phosphate liquid, and it's supposed to break up gallstones. And so we've had success doing that before we do a liver gallbladder flush to help kind of dissolve things up. One of the companies, who is that? Standard Process puts that one out. Is this related to gallstones and what can to prevent them? Acidosis is related to all forms of all stones. Anytime fluids become acidic, coagulation ends up becoming the end result. Dehydration and coagulation. And so this is why always in an acidic medium you see the withdrawal of calcium and you get calcifications or calcium stones, or you can get the bile cholesterol stones in the gallbladder and liver, by the way. The liver can house stones just like the gallbladder. Done plenty of liver gallbladder flushes without gallbladders and got plenty of stones out before. So anyway, it's something you want to do. Papa better get his diet changed because he's eating the three no-nos. The dairy is at the top of the no-nos, fills all the body full of mucus and just nasty stuff. Meat is, you can live on a little bit of that once in a while with a salad and stuff. It's not going to kill you, but you would really want to detox first, get your kidneys fixed up and that sort of thing, and then go back to a little fish or chicken maybe. Breads or grains, definitely polysaccharides, starch. No way, Jose. Even whole grains. I thought all this was healthy, and I'd been a fruitarian. And when I opened up my first health food stores, I got pretty sick eating whole foods, eating grains and lots of nuts. I thought, oh, this is all raw whole grains. I thought like Dr. Jensen did for a while. Then I sort of realized that nope. I got to get back to my fruits. And so you'll find that yourselves. If you push yourself down the road and you get yourself well, you'll see what I mean. Sometimes you have to bring yourself back, and it isn't fun going back to a little bit of Hellville. But the state of balance, I guess. But get your dad cleaned up, man. You can get your dad cleaned up quite well here. If not, he could lose that. And you should never lose your gallbladder because of stones. Those are easy to clean out of the body. But you don't want to do a liver gallbladder flush when you have high elevated liver enzymes. You don't want to do anything like that because you have a lot of inflammation, and the liver gallbladder flush is spasming the liver a little bit. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of get all that inflammation out first, because going on a raw diet and going on liver herbs, liver gallbladder formula bars and stuff, it'll reduce the stones and pull them out. Just that alone will do that. So, it's good all the way around, except your dad needs to do something for his health of it. Rebounding moves lymph. Hi, Dr. Morse. Hello there. Who is this? Will Neffer? Willneher. Hello, my friend. Hi, Dr. Morse. I want to thank you for this. Oh, thanks, man. Random question. Do half pipes move lymphs? I don't know what you mean by that, man. How's Tony Hawk doing? When ice skaters spin really fast, does that move lymph? I would think. I don't know, but I would think the pressure and all that would, in a good way. I would think so. You know what? I think the big issue with moving lymph is filtration. Get your kidneys filtering. To do that, you're hydrating the body. In a hydration move, you're in an alkaline dominant food source. Fruits, berries, and melons, top hydrators. Vegetables, secondary. But as you begin to get hydration / filtration, then lymph moves much better on its own, and minor movement will help you. If you're not filtering and you get too aggressive in trying to move lymph, you could feel your knees, your hips, you start feeling your joints because you're creating acids, more acids. Then, of course, at the point where you realize this, you're not filtering as a rule, so your acids from your cells are just sitting around, hanging around, being inflammatory, and then trying to move lymph where there's no filtration is literally impossible. I mean, you could knead the body. Massage does this all day long, but it doesn't take a day or 2 or 3 for it to all come roaring back on you. And that's the thing. You can move around, and notice that if you have to move around to feel better, your lymph is backed up. Like in the morning, some people get up, they're full of mucus, and they have to move around to get their lymph moving, but in reality, they're not filtering. And so it's just going to compound. So you just really got to get the kidneys and the adrenals up, get filtration going, and then move lymph as you will. Rebounders, chi machines, I don't care. I don't think you have to go to excessive exercise to move lymph. I think hydration is the key, and kidney filtration is the key to moving lymph. But, exercise is too. Before then, though, passiveness like Tai Chi and yoga and stuff are really good. Seesaws, I don't know to tell you. Is nudism the best lifestyle for a lymph movement? Could be. And as a species, have we evolved to eat meat for survival during colder seasons? Well, let me read on. Or was it out of necessity during ice ages? I don't know how many humans were around during ice ages, but if that is a case where one is stuck in a colder ice age type situation, the real key would be fats. I watch a lot of these Alaska programs, and I'm listening to these guys, and there's one guy on Life Below Zero. And these guys are way out there. There's a lady 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle. This cat, he's by himself. He has just minimal things, but I've been listening to them talking about diet, and they're always looking for high fats, which makes sense because that's like a grizzly bear. Store it as fat, break it down as sugar, because this is a cycle that's repetitive and that's essential. Not proteins, fats, because we store fats. Amino acids are essential as carriers in any repair that's needed, but an adult needs very few amino acids compared to a child. And so there's differences, but you see that in grizzly bears where the young baby bears are thrown the salmon after the older bears ripped the skin off and ate the head. You notice that? Looking for the higher fat sources, because then it's stored as sugar, or fat, broken down to sugar. And that's more the essential need of that in winter months, is having plenty of fat on you to deal with the winter. With that said, though, all northern climates have higher protein and higher mineral counts. One of my theses for my naturopathic course, I had to do 4 theses for my naturopathic course. The one that I chose for the main thesis was the geographical location of I can't remember what I called it now, but it was dealing in the geographical location of protein and mineral contents of soils and the like relative to the food in that area. You go down in the tropics, you got the coconut. You go farther up north, you got the walnut. Major difference in fats and in protein content of the two nuts. And you just see that as you get further in the northern climates. With that said, I'm a believer that the human has no business being in northern cold winter climates. If you choose that, okay, but you've got to buy fur, you got to buy things that keep you warm, and then your diet is more polarized to a higher protein, higher lipid-based diet. Absolutely, I see that. And I think it is definitely harder to be a raw foodist in the winter months and cold winter. I think it's also, all these things, because you don't carry the fat on the body. We're a tropical species. But you can't get well. And what's the interesting thing here in bringing this up is you can't get well eating a northern diet. That's what's making everybody sick in the first place. You can only get well if you do a tropical diet. And we've proved that for so many years. It's just not worth even arguing over. So it's just what we see. So I don't know what to say. Man has lost his health. We've lost more of our health since we brought out chemistry as isolates than probably the thousands of years we've shifted to proteins. We're playing with chemistry that kills. We're playing with pharmaceuticals that kill people right off. And nobody cares. So what if you have 10% fatal events in a drug, which could cause hundreds of thousands of deaths worldwide, even at 5%. Some drugs are used by the millions of people. So you take even 3% to 5% deaths out of, say, 10 million people using, say, a statin, you got a lot of deaths. You got a lot of deaths. Just for using a pharmaceutical that's supposed to help you, which it doesn't help you. So it's just we have our heads turned on wrong, and as a civilized beings, man's got to wake up here. We got to quit killing each other. So I don't know where life's going here on this planet, but as a species, does it make sense to add meat to a diet during extreme cold temperatures? You know what? I don't have a problem with that as long as you're not detoxifying. If you've got cancer, you got or you're trying to detox and fix a condition or a situation that's in the body, whether it's high acidosis, your body's breaking down, you have tumors in it, whatever you're dealing with, not diseases, whatever you're dealing with, that's going to determine whether you want to add protein in your diet or not. If you're pretty healthy, a little dead animal tissue 3 times, I'd rather see you go to nuts than dead animal tissue, though. I'd rather see you go to the coconut or the, any of the nuts. The pecans and almonds are pretty low in proteins and pretty good. You can stay with some of those. I'd rather see you use warm teas, even steamed vegetables. I'd rather see you eat warmer foods than go to the dead animals. But you could. I have nothing good to say about dead animals. There's nothing healthy at all. You'd be doing it for you felt you needed it. And it would be your own mind that would think you would need that, because there's so many ways to keep warm now. Or should everyone really try to move to Costa Rica? I'll drink to that one. I just talked to our friend, 83 years old, lives in Costa Rica and Colombia, an ex-banker, guy smart as crap. I really am going down there and meet with him and talk with him, because he's got an awareness of what's going on in the world that few have, because he's been up there. He said, I've bought medical doctors before, bought and sold them. Interesting. So it'll be interesting to see that. Thank you so much. You know what? If it was me, I think each of you are going to find yourself stuck in places. And it's because you're the divine. You have opening your consciousness up. You have said, I'm not going to follow the herd, because the view's always the same. I'm growing spiritually because it is fulfilling. It brings ecstasy and joy and love into my life. Happiness, which this planet hasn't had in a while. And so that's my focus. And if you're stuck in a place, maybe you're stuck there to help others, because it's pretty dark out there on this planet. And each of you are the light of God. And so when you go into an area, you're stuck in an area, look around, because it may be some souls there just waiting for your touch. and your love, and just a few words from you that tells them it's okay. You can get well. There's a path to Wellville. There's a path to Godville. And maybe that's why you're there. I've always looked at why I'm in these remote places. There's no one else around. And then I realized because I'm here to bring the light to the darkness, just like you guys are here to bring the light to the darkness. And that's what we're here for. Because enough play, you can play how long you're going to play in a place like this. So remember that. You all are beautiful beings, and the world needs some beautiful beings to show it's okay to have fun. It's okay to be happy. It's okay that you don't eat dead animals, and it's okay that you don't have to have greed and that sort of thing. This is from RawFoodPath. Love that. How do you repair after they have given you radiation iodine treatment as the doctor says you have Graves' disease? How can this be fixed after the damage was done? This is a really good question, dear, and I'm telling you, it makes me sick to my stomach that they do things like this. They kill the thyroid gland. There was a medical doctor from Miami that told me that they could sue if they killed if a medical doctor killed your thyroid gland, you could sue them for that. I hope so. Because you wonder why all these suits, because they're doing wacky, ridiculous things. You don't kill people's thyroids to make them better. If you have hyperthyroid, you detox. That's the only thing you do. If you have a hyper state of anything, detox. Because it's either acidosis or some chemical you've ingested. Even iodine has made thyroids hyperactive, especially this potassium iodide, these isolates of iodine. Oh, toxic. Not good. It's like this poor Japanese nuclear plant that went down, and everybody has to do the iodine. Yeah? Well, they just screwed thousands or millions of people by telling them to do the iodine. Detox radiation like you would detox chemicals out of the body. So what I would do is really get up, and this is where I would use a thyroid glandular, probably start with the 150s, because that's thyroid cells, and like invigorates like. And so if you get that energetic going in there, you could invigorate that. At the same time, detoxify your body thoroughly, because you have to go back and fix, first of all, why you had Graves in the first place, or Graves, that's the name they give it, but why you had this problem in the first place. Never let anybody kill any tissue in your body. That is insane, unless it's a ganglia or something that's created out of nothing that needs to be removed. But you never have thyroids killed, especially any gland. That gland is vital. And for anybody to kill a gland in another human thinking it's for the health of that person is smoking something really bad in the back room. So this is not good. You need to get your thyroid invigorated. Get on 100% raw. Get in upper circulation, brain and nerve, just to enhance the neurological function to that tissue. At the same time, detox. Get a green drinks, your parsley, your cilantros, your dandelion greens, and maybe a couple of green drinks a day. At the same time, get those kidneys opened up and start detoxifying your lymphatic system. And hopefully you can invigorate this thyroid back again. And at least they didn't cut it out, and invigorate it back again. At least we've got several cases like that, and that's what I'm doing with them, to invigorate. I even use it when there's when they've had it removed, to see if I can inspire any stem cells again. Wake up the dead, because this is what I'm talking about. Bad science. Bad science does stuff like this, gives radioactive iodine to people to kill the thyroid that's already radioactive. I mean, I spent a lot of years in nuclear medicine. That's why I've got these little puppies. And I'll tell you what, there's so much ignorance. Now here's one that I've talked about many times. So look at the videos, but I've talked about this many times, but this is a comment that is worth of repeating here. Please comment on drinking water from water with pH of 9, 10, and 11, from water ozonators or ionizers. Man, I've talked a lot about this, and I'll do it one more time. No way, Jose. Remember, blood pH is 7.4. What happens? To understand this, in allopathic thinking, I was told that 7.6 is considering you're entering alkalosis. So think about physics for a minute. All life seeks a homeostasis. I'm going to go out to the ocean out here, and I'm going to pour a bucket of water in the ocean. I'm going to go bring me a bucket of water, and I'm going to pour it in the ocean. Now, when I do that, did I raise the ocean right there where I poured the bucket of water, or did I raise the oceans of the world? I raised the oceans of the world. All life seeks a homeostasis or balance. Someone asked about a teeter-totter, balance. All life seeks a homeostasis, a state of balance. And so when you go 7.4 and you enter a 9, what happens to the 7.4? You're polarizing it toward the 9. The 9's going to come down, the 7.4 is going to go up until you reach a homeostatic balance. Well, the problem with that is allopathy sees alkalosis as 7.6. So if you're doing a 9, you do a 10 or 11 water, that's you could terminate your life with 10 or 11 water. You got to be real careful here what you do. You know, we can be young and we can be happy and we can take off on these things, but I want you all to be smart, because these guys out there will sell you anything. And some people that make these and sell these things don't have half a brain in understanding what you can do to people. This isn't as alkaline as you can get. Because that's alkalosis. That's the high end of alkalinity is as bad as the low end of acidosis. They'll both burn you really bad. So you don't want either way. You want balance in life. Balance is, though, to the base side or alkaline side, but not aggressively so. So you don't want water over 8, in my opinion. 8.5 at the very most, and you're still going to tweak the blood a little bit. So I would be very careful at consuming. Water is actually acidic in its natural state. H2O. 2 atoms of hydrogen. Hydrogen is a universal acid that's found everywhere, and then you've got your oxygen. And so the only thing that alkalizes water is mineralization, which comes out of the earth. If you really want invigorated water, I don't want man to invigorate my water. I want God to invigorate my water. Make sense? Makes sense. So please, do not do these waters like this. Dangerous stuff to do. Just the opposite end of doing too much acid in there. This would be like eating meat in its effect on the blood, but the opposite end of the scale. So good question, though. Please, these waters. And don't have man monkey with anything. Have nature and God monkey with it. There's where the creative thing is. There's where the divine is. There's where the creator of all and how all works. It's way too complicated for us. It's so complicated, simplicity is the only way happiness is experienced. All right. This is from Sabine. I've been suffering from severe acne for more than a year now. Boy, I've been on a vegan high raw diet for 5 months, but it's still not completely gone. Now, let's stop there and remember, get up on a higher diet to a tropical diet of mostly fruits, berries, and melons. Get on some herbs for your kidneys. You know, good on that 14-week protocol. It's already set up for you, or I'll write you one if you want. $150, but I'll do it. Give me all your information. But I tell you, you can do this yourself. Get yourself up on the 14-week protocol, or at least a little protocol where you're going after your kidneys. Get your kidneys filtering, because no kidneys filtering, low removal of acne. So you want your kidneys filtering, and then you want to dig in. If your kidneys are filtering, you're still struggling, and you got a lot of lymphatic things to look at. Get a picture of your eyes and look at it. I've given plenty of information on the eyes and how to read them. So look at that and see where your lymph system is, but don't get frustrated. get madder, not madder, but get more aggressive with your lymph drainage, because until you clear your skin completely up, you got a lymphatic problem. No question. So you want to keep digging in and digging in and digging in no matter how long it takes. If your skin is that bad, it just shows the depth of your lymphatic problems. But serious stuff here, and you really want to get this out of you, because it's not just the skin that's getting beat up. It's all your internal organs and everything else. That's the misnomer. It's just your skin. It's everything inside too, guy. So you got to take care of that. I watch your videos, and you speak about the skin being the third kidney, and I'm quite sure I have kidney failure. Yep. You say very often that people with acne should work on the kidneys with herbs. My question are, how can I work on my kidneys so they start filtering better? What herbs can I use, and how can I check? Okay. Well, you know how to check for filtration. We've showed you that over and over again about peeing in the jars. I love these charts. Thank you, Jermaine. But I love to see all these and the settlement in the urine. So you want to get a mason jar and pee in it. But I use 2 kidney formulas. I use tinctures and capsules. And when it comes to kidneys and lymphatics, I use 1 each. And then I'm after the GI tract. You don't want to backfeed the body, so you want to clean up the GI tract really nice. So I like my stomach and bowels, the GI broom. You can use Heal All capsules. That's even more aggressive than the stomach and bowel. So you can really clean up the body and get detox, get you up on a high fruit and berry and melon diet, clean up the skin, but clean up the whole body, because this is a big internal problem too, see, honey, and you don't want to have a problem there. Let me see here. Here's 3 questions. Oh, this is Sarah. Hi, Sarah, honey. My aunt has granuloma on her arms and groin area, minimal BMs like once a week. Oh, God. Even the old people know to eat prunes. My God. And poor sleep. I told her she could start with the stomach and bowels, kidneys, and adrenal formulas. Good thinking. I definitely want to get her on the lymphatic formulas if you want to get these granulomas out of there. I told her about the raw diet, but I'm not sure how she's doing. Well, when you get older on people, hit them with 80% raw, 20% steamed vegetables. 80-20, right? Want them off the dairy. Especially with these, you want them off the dairy, you want them off the proteins, you want them off the grains. Those are the 3 big areas that everybody dig into. You want to get them on mostly raw, and then keep exciting her to go more raw. Say, why don't you do just a 5-day raw food diet? Just for 5 days, just do raw foods for 5 days. Sometimes you got to take baby steps on your loved ones, because they don't always believe in everything you say and everything. But you can let her view this video, because if I was her, I'd jump in full force. Jump right into the water. It's nice and fine, isn't it? Oh, you guys have jumped in. It feels good in here, right? Absolutely. And so no one's too old to change. And if you think you are, then you're just going to repeat life again. They call that reincarnation. But, if you don't open and grow and awaken, you're going to repeat. Remember, if we don't grow in grades, we repeat the same class again. I'm just saying. Start thinking about, especially all you guys that are in your 50s and 60s, start thinking your time's coming. You're going to be leaving. Where are you going? And hadn't you better maybe do some journeys before just to check things out? Maybe you want to go a little higher than you would have if you hadn't changed your life, So it's always good to grow and to be happy and to learn and understand things more. My sister was diagnosed with celiac a couple of years ago. Before then, as a child, well, you know what? You get on the GI broom, you get on the stomach and bowels, you get on the raw, you start cleaning up the gut, you start cleaning out all the lymph out of all the tissues, and everybody's good. Cold sores, allergies, and all we're dealing here's high acid, cold sores. Get that herpes out of there. These are virals, but they're only active in highly acidic mediums. Of course they are. That's why the more acidic, the more hold you see. The more proteins are dealt with, and that's where you see the viruses. Allergies, heavy lymphatic system, heat intolerance, way too Heat intolerance. You're way too acidic. This lady's way too acidic, so her herpes are coming out, her allergies showing. She can't stand the heat because she's already too hot inside. Irritability, dyslexia, migraines, yeast infections. She's a bit better now. She avoids gluten and I had her taking your kidney, smart girl here. Good, Sarah. Since then, she hasn't had the swelling in her left ankle. You're right on. You guys are good, aren't you? Well, you got to help your sister get her kidneys filtering, Sarah. She's going to have similar genes as you. So you want to get her kidneys filtering, because when you see swollen ankles, that's not the first sign. It's way on down the road that you're losing your kidneys. That's not the first sign. And so when your ankle starts swelling, little trouble in big Texas. Could it be her left kidney? You hit it right on the head, Sarah. My left one is definitely sluggish. Genetics, see what I'm saying? So yeah, work on your kidneys, everybody, because your aunt, everybody's the same way. My grandma is on her way to healing, but is stubborn. She's 68. Grandma, 68. Quit being stubborn at 68. 68 is a young woman. Should never be stubborn at 68. That's reserved for 85-year-olds. She loves her food. Yeah, but you know what? You can love your food, but some people love their food as much as they love feeling sick and not feeling good. Then you have nothing to say with those people. Enjoy your pain and enjoy your food. I'm not one of those, and I don't want to be one of those. If I'm in trouble, I want to fix it. Those are the more aware, smart people. You don't want to say, I love my food and I'm going to suffer just so I can eat it. That's not very elevated thinking. I'll put it that way. That's really copping out on your life and saying, I'm going to eat what I want. I love it to eat, but I'm going to have my body, fall apart. You know what? When you break that thinking and you get into the raw and then you get into the fruits, it's so tasty. It's so empowering that your grandma won't feel like a grandma anymore. She'll feel like a teenager again. And that is worth it. And it doesn't take that long to get there. And that's worth it. While taking cream of chicken from the can, cookies, crackers, meat, and cheeses. Oh, that's a pretty foul diet. This is, I'd just like for her to hear it from you. I even hate to call you grandma at 68 years old, but I'm 64 and I'm a grandpa. My oldest son is 46, be 47 this Halloween. That's pretty old. But you don't want to ever feel like you're old at 60-some years old. I feel like I'm 30. I never feel old. I don't know why. Matter of fact, sometimes I overwork my body, but I never feel old. I don't know why anybody would feel old if you're eating raw and you're feeling good. There's no age. You don't feel aged. There's no age to being. So I'm so amazed at how God has healed her. She has. Wait. Stop the train. This lady has got scleroderma. Your grandma's got scleroderma and she don't want to do anything about it? I've seen people die with it, and it's one of the most hideous deaths there is. Have someone choking on you like this till you die. Scleroderma is a bad boy. Scleroderma is absolutely nothing. And she has Raynaud's. Well, of course, you're losing your nervous system and your mouth. You're going to be squeezed to death. And scarred, scleroderma, for those who don't know, you don't want to know. You don't want scleroderma. So, Grandma, get your butt in gear and get out of this, because you don't want scleroderma. You must not be on the deeper side of scleroderma. And if you even knew what scleroderma was, no one wants scleroderma. There's nothing pretty about this one. Well, her hands have almost come back to normal. Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And this is without the raw diet or the herbs. She must have had a divine healing, because you don't pull yourself out of anything like this on any diet that she's on. Something's wrong here. If she's on some type of chemical, it'll be short-lived. I can just tell you, I've had experience with these, a lot of experience, and Grandma, turn it around. Listen to Sarah. She's the smart one here, and get your life turned around, because you don't want scleroderma to nip you in the bud as you get older, because it is not pretty. Not at all. Not a pretty way to die. You might as well just shoot yourself. My mom, Sarah's mom is healthy and vibrant, but she has dealt with depression. Remember the parathyroid and sinus issues. Of course, sinus, parathyroid, all close together, full of mucus. Parathyroid's probably full of mucus like the sinuses. The thyroid the same way. Remember, your whole body gets full of mucus. Although the sinus problem is ongoing, she just needs to clean up her bowels, get her kidneys to filter, and all this will drain out of there. So, recently she was told by her eye doctor that she's at risk for glaucoma. Well, then her pressure's building up, meaning her lymph's building up, but then what you're saying is all lymphatic right there anyway, and she needs to get her lymphs moving and get herself all cleaned out, and she'll be good. Get her bowels cleaned out. Yes, we have a lot of involvement in the head area. I just want to let all my favorite ladies in the world know how to make the diet. I love Sarah. Sarah, listen, I love how you said that. And listen, your mother, your grandmother, all the ladies, Sarah loves you guys. She just wants you all to be healthy and happy. And so I'm on Sarah's side on this one. Now, this is, someone asked me about PSP syndrome. I've never heard. You know, sometimes when you use letters to donate a syndrome, not all of us know because there's so many of them. And some of them are similar. So this is progressive supranuclear palsy. She is 62 years young. It has been progressing for the last 5 years, and she is at the point where she needs 24-hour care. Whenever you see the nervous system go down, it's no different than anything else going down in your body. What's taking you down? Your lifestyle. Number one, your lifestyle. Now, let me back up a teeny bit and say that lifestyle is involved in genetic patterns and thinking of cells. So this has been a lifestyle, this lifestyle of the human species. Some of them are more tropical, they're the healthier ones. But when you go around the world, you have different cultures with different types of food, but pretty much they're similar foods, just differently prepared and things like that. You have some cultures that got some of the worst foods on the planet, and other cultures better. Some cultures respect more fruits and salads and stuff in their diets. Other cultures are just real bad. So we've got to get away from these types of foods in our cultures, the meats, the dairies, and the grains. You know, the white flour products, things like this, they should have been gone years ago. But when you've got a neurological case, this is a case that has to have fruits, berries, and melons. These are my opinions, but I have a lot of experience with neurological cases. And I'm not tooting any horns. I'm saying my experience has been, if the neurological case, you need to get the highest order of food on the planet. And you've got to go after this. So I would be after her kidneys to filter, her bowels. I'd be upper circ, brain and nerve number 2, mandatory. I'd be going after that lymph system, removing the acids that's breaking her down, because you don't get better unless you remove. You don't get better unless you fix. Things don't get better on their own because you're not doing anything to make them better. People's lifestyles, if you don't change what you're eating, don't expect to go to Wellville. Sorry. You're not going to get there. You must change how you live. And that includes how you think and how you feel. Because we were wallowing in these opinions that have nowhere to go. Like this high pH water and drink way too much water and eat 60 bananas a day and ridiculous concepts like this that no one can do, and the people that do get sick. You know, there's got to be a state of balance. But when you have a person with this serious of a problem, you're going to go 100% raw to start. Then you're going to get rid of the vegetables. You're going to work to get rid of the vegetables out of there. You know, these are serious conditions. This lady's probably has to have full care. But don't let that stop you. If you need a feeding tube, you can get a feeding tube right up her and get her back here. And I'd work to get her back. Fruits, berries, and melons only, and then go with the herbs, go with the kidneys. The adrenals are key neurotransmitters, right? Now, any test that doctors have made me do for nutritional deficiency or MRI, etc., have all come back perfect. They only diagnosed her within the past few months. They said she had dementia, MS, Alzheimer's, all which turned out to be false. Well, it doesn't matter what you name it. You know what? We've got to get past this idea that we have to stick, that's the mind, we have to stick a name and call it a disease. We just got to get past that sort of thinking, because you don't have to label it. She's got a neurological condition that's bringing her down. And it's either autonomic or central or both. Just remember, there's two nervous systems. Well, you're going to go after both of them the same, except to get upstairs to the central, you're going to use upper circuit brain and nerve. The brain and nerve formula will also strengthen the autonomic. The autonomic, you're going to go right back to the adrenal glands. You're going to get the kidneys filtering, get the adrenal glands up, producing better neurotransmitters. But at the same time, you're going to open up the pathways of better nerve flow, because what can reduce pathways of nerve flow is the lymphatic system expanding and swelling. You get tight, stiff shoulders, numb hands, same thing. You can shut down neural flow with lymphatic swelling. This is what happens in the brain. And then you get glaucoma and you get all this pressure and all this stuff, and it all goes. Now, she is not on any medication, is a vegetarian, is not in any pain, but neurologically her equilibrium is totally out of whack. PSP is a rare disease. Not rare at all. It's got a lot of the symptoms of right here. Cerebellum. I've researched this a little bit to show you. And this is a rare brain disorder, but we'll call it acidosis, because that's the cytochemistry that causes all this, okay? And the lymph system is the one that's involved. Causes serious and progressive problems with control of gait and balance. The cerebellum. And this is easy. Work on those neural lymphatic points down the back. Get this cerebellum drained. Because if you don't remove acidosis, you can't remove degeneration and the degrading of the condition of the cells. Rechange that, hydrate, and turn it around, and things will rebuild. But don't live in the world that I'm only going to go downhill, because that's not true. Along with complex eye movement and thinking problems. And the reason is simple, is that the optic nerve comes right back in here at the cerebellum and things like that. But you can fix her, and I would start immediately. Get her on all raw, and move up to the fruits, berries, and melons when I can. Get her on a good herbal program, but remember, upper circuit, brain, and nerve. Get her kidneys filtering, get her detox. Get her bowels cleaned out, and you'll turn her totally around. Bet you $100. Okay, now, Drew wanted me to talk about restless leg syndrome, because people are calling in with that. You know, when you start to lose the kidney, this is all about the kidneys. Almost in all these conditions, it's about the kidneys and the loss of filtration from those kidneys. Once you lose filtration, you start to get in trouble. We've talked a great deal about this. But the back, the lower back, L4 and L5 specifically, start to swell. And when you start to swell anywhere, you start to impede or block the flow of either blood or nerve, because the lymph is already getting blocked. So you start seeing swelling. You can see an impaired blood flow sometimes, more likely an impaired neural flow. So then, of course, with the acidosis, you see the neuropathies and the breakdown of the myelin sheath, just like you would at the breakdown of liver tissue or the breakdown of kidney tissue or any other tissue like that. So when you start to swell, your nerves can spasm, of course, and, you get restless legs from that. Matter of fact, the weaker the nervous system, and what weakens tissue? Acids. What cytochemistry? Acids. What system in your body deals with the acids? The lymphatic system. And these acids are just cell waste, cell poo-poo. This is the sewer system. So get her cleaned up, and you can save all these people up here. I've got to run, and I've got a lot more questions that I wanted to go over. I wanted to go over this one. Someone asked me some questions about iridology, but I'm out of time. I'll say this. This is Simone. At the very last, I'll go over this again with you. You say, you seem to completely ignore the idea of pigmentation in the eye as a form to protect the underlying organs. Yeah, I do ignore that because I disagree with that thinking. That's ridiculous. That is how far I looked into this material. Yeah, I mean, you've come in about Ellen and that sort of thing. I just disagree with Ellen. I mean, I knew Doc personally quite a bit. I knew how Doc felt about Ellen and his son Art, Ellen's husband. I know all those stories, guys, so I know all about that. All I can say is that there's difference of opinions in iridologists. Most of that thinking is German iridology, in my opinion, is not American iridology. And I disagree with colors, pigmentation in your eye representing protection. No, I don't see that at all. Not true at all. You can change the color of the eye right back to the natural pigmentation of the eye, whether it be a brown or blue eye. Those things, full spectrum lighting comes into that. There's no protection of that. If anything, you with that thought, with anything, you could say that when you start building up toxicity in the body and it builds up in the eye, you block full spectrum lighting from hitting the optic nerve properly and being transported to the rest of the body. You could maybe stretch and say that. But eye pigmentation color has nothing to do, in my opinion, at all with protecting the cells of the organs of the body. That's ridiculous. They're protected by the cell wall. The cell wall is protected by the phospholipids, which is HDL predominantly. You have protection everywhere for that. You need neural transport of energy directly from the sun, and you don't want anything blocking that. So if anything, the accumulation, the changing of the pigmentation of the eye could block, if anything. So I find that to be a ridiculous statement, whoever's saying that one. But I'll read this the next time for the next people, and I apologize, Simone. I'm out of time here, and I got to run, but I love you guys. Keep researching, though. Keep asking these questions because they don't bother me. I don't know everything. There's no question about that. But when it comes to iridology, I've had a lot of years with it. And I can tell you there's so many things out there that people are saying about that's not true. And that's what I hate to take a science and start smearing it. And that's basically what's been going on. Different people have different opinions and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's good to have opinions, there's no question, and there probably needs to be a lot more symposiums and people getting together with iridology to make it more of a state and a science of itself, there's no question. For me, I'm so involved in my practice that I didn't want to just be an iridologist. I told Doc, I said, man, I don't want your iridology side. I don't want that. I'm so busy at this level. But be careful on the wild side. There's a lot of wild opinions out there and things that to me have no basis in truth and facts like that. These are healers that don't know how to get the body healed up. Because if you can't get if a person has blue eyes and they're any other color, from the whites to the yellows to the hazels where the brown is, and even some that are almost all brown, if you can't get that changed back, you can't detoxify properly. And so people can argue with me, but we change them every day here. And good point, case in point's Marcy. For those that came to the class, to see the dramatic difference that Marcy's done on herself, dramatic, taking an almost brown eye to almost blue. Dramatic, but we have plenty of befores and afters. So it's just stuff we've personally seen, and if that's protective, it wouldn't come out. You see what I'm saying? No, that has nothing to do with that. That definitely has to do with conditions of the internal body, and Jensen and all of us knew that sort of thing. I don't know what road Ellen's driving down, but when she says she disagreed with Doc and stuff like that, then and the things that I know about her from Doc, I just don't have much respect there. No offense. But with that said, let's get ourselves well. Let's get ourselves happy. Let's get ourselves down to Wellville. Let's do some out-of-body traveling. And let's do some cyber hugs. To each and every one of you, my love goes out, and a big cyber hug today, and let's have fun. You know, we can argue on the small stuff later, but let's have fun, get the bodies, and all you guys that are in serious trouble, let's get yourselves well. Don't cop out and say, I gotta have my meat, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. These are excuses. Excuses not to face yourself. Excuses not to face yourself. Love you all. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.